Before I was an anime fan, I was a video games fan for the longest time, and when I found my anime passion, it wasn't long until I searched for anime games to satisfy both ends. Japan has produced some of my favorite games of all time, but very few would actually be considered anime games. One of my all-time favorites is without a doubt Dark Souls, so when I hear Bandai Namco is making an anime Dark Souls game, you have my full, undivided attention. My name's Globku, and today we're gonna start covering Code Vein by talking about what we know of the story so far. Code Vein managed to capture my interest despite entering an oversaturated market. Not only is Souls-like the most popular genre right now, with countless clones or Dark Souls-inspired games coming out every month, but story-wise is also diving into an overdone genre. Vampires. A couple of weeks ago we talked about vampires when I put out the video about Castlevania on Netflix. I really thought that the vampire genre was just dead at this point, but Castlevania glued me to the screen with an old school vampire story, giving me hope for the future of the genre. So let's look at what Code Vein is doing. Vampires are the theme of this game, with a player controlling a vampire who pretty much kills other types of vampires. Vampire heroes, like the player's character, are called revenants. In this post-apocalyptic world called Vein, which is the space where you're actually going to be playing the game, the blood supply is depleting, and as you know, vampires, well, they need blood to survive. So what happens when a revenant goes too long without blood? Well, he turns into these ghouls called Lost, which are the monsters that you see the main character fighting in the different trailers. Now technically the Lost, they are still vampires, but they're consumed by bloodlust. They lose their minds, all they can think about is consuming blood. They lose any sort of reason, but they're still vampires. Which means if they bite a human, which apparently there are humans in this game somewhere, they must be part of the story. But if they bite a human, the human then becomes a vampire, and if that vampire can't drink blood, then it turns into a lost ghoul as well. And this might be a big hint towards the main character's backstory. We could be playing with someone who has been a vampire for a very long time, or we could be playing as a vampire who has recently turned. And that hypothesis is actually very fitting with an RPG mechanic, which is this game is totally going to be an action RPG. We learn more about our powers as we get used to our vampire body and defeat our enemies and drink their blood. So that's a possible backstory for the main character. But our hero is not alone. There's a buddy system in this game, meaning you'll be traveling with another Revenant companion. Now, so far there's no multiplayer announced. It's still a possibility, but nothing has been announced so far. What we know for sure is that this buddy character will be an AI companion. Now, maybe this AI companion can become a player-controlled companion if there's online co-op, but that we don't know yet. Both you and your AI buddy are wearing special gear, as you can see from the trailers. You see this metallic gear transforming around the protagonist's face and around his arm. This gear is called a blood veil, and in this world there are many different blood veils for you to find and equip. But each one of them grants you different abilities, and all of them allow you to drink blood in combat. It would be very inconvenient to take off your mask and suck an enemy's blood dry after you defeat each one of them. It's a long process, so I'm happy the blood veil is there to help you speed up the process. But of course, the blood veil doesn't run on thin air, it also needs blood to unlock these special abilities, and these special abilities are called gifts. So not only do you need blood to survive, you need it to get stronger. It's kind of like the relationship between real humans and food. But again, it's important to remember that if a Revenant doesn't drink blood, eventually he turns into a Lost. And I want you to think about what that means for a second, because that means allies could become enemies at some point. And if that isn't some very heavy foreshadowing for our AI buddy, then I don't know what it is. The little kawaii girl that you see in the trailer? Yeah, she's gonna turn into a ghoul. I'm calling it right now. And that's the setting. Those are the story details we have so far on Code Vein, a post-apocalyptic vampire story with a strong focus on characters. I'm definitely curious to learn more about it, not to mention the gameplay looks pretty neat so far. But that's just me. I want to learn your opinion. I want to know what you think of the game. Are you looking forward to Code Vein? Let me know all about it in the comments down below. And after you do that, here's a couple of anime games that might interest you. Go ahead and click on the one you like the most. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name's Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.